For the African-American population, when Jackie Robinson breaks Major League Baseball's color barrier, it carried the same level of euphoria that we saw as a nation when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. And of course, Buzz Aldrin also walked on the moon, and Buzz is the forgotten man. Larry Doby would sign with Cleveland literally just weeks after Jackie Robinson breaks the color barrier with the Brooklyn Dodgers, and Larry Doby is the forgotten man. Larry Doby went through just as much. Some may even argue even more than Jackie because he was playing in the American League. And the American League wasn't nearly as liberal as the National League. When he walked into the locker room with Cleveland, no one would shake his hand. When he stepped out on the field, no one wanted to warm up with him. Larry Doby was 23 years old, thrown into a powder keg of racism. Yet Larry Doby had the exact same pedigree that made Jackie the right one to be the first. College educated, had served in the Navy during World War II, was an outstanding baseball player for the Negro Leagues Newark Eagles. And it didn't take long. Larry Doby never played a day in the minor leagues. He went straight from the Newark Eagles over to Cleveland. And in 1948, he and the old man, Satchel Paige, helped Cleveland win the World Series.
The Cleveland Indians triumph over the Boston Braves, and the 1948 World Series is all over.
In 1946, the great Larry Doby had a tremendous season. He helped Newark win the Negro Leagues World Series. And during that season, he only hit .341, was named to the East-West All-Star Game, and finished one home run behind league leaders Josh Gibson and Johnny Davis. Like a lot of players from the Negro Leagues, Larry Doby was an outstanding multi-sport athlete. He'd been a star basketball player at Long Island University, where he played under the assumed name of Larry Walker to protect his amateur status while he was playing for the Newark Eagles. Larry Doby would go on to become the first black to play in the American Basketball League, which would become the precursor to the National Basketball Association. A young Larry Doby would recall his first game in the Negro Leagues against the Homestead Braves. Who was the catcher? The great Josh Gibson. Larry Doby gets into the batter's box. Gibson looks up at him and says, "Son, we're gonna see how you handle a fastball." Larry Doby singled. Next time up, Gibson says, "Son, we're gonna see how you handle a curveball." Larry Doby singled again. The next time up, Josh Gibson says, "We gonna see how you react when you get knocked down." They knocked him down. He gets up, he pops up. The next time up, they knock him down, but this time he singles again. Your life was tough in the Negro Leagues. They were never afraid to knock you down, but Larry Doby was never afraid to get back up. If you want an indication of why Larry Doby was the second man to walk on the moon, well, when he gets called up in 1947, he was only hitting .414. Over a decade-long Major League career, 9-time All-Star, the first African-American to lead either league in home runs in 1952. He also led the league in runs scored that season. He would go on to become the second African-American to manage in Major League Baseball, only behind the great Frank Robinson. He would become the first to win both a Negro Leagues World Series and a Major League World Series, on his way into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. The legendary Jim Mudcat Grant, the first African-American pitcher to win 20 games in the American League, he was a roommate of Larry Doby when he was with Cleveland. And Mudcat was in awe of Larry Doby. And so as Mudcat would tell the story, he got to the hotel room before Larry Doby does, where he hears the key in the door, and there he is. And as Mudcat would describe, Larry Doby to him looked like a giant. He says to Mudcat, "You must be Mudcat." Mudcat says, "Yes, sir, Mr. Doby." He said, "Which bed would you like?" Mudcat says, "Yes, sir, Mr. Doby." He said, "Do you like to watch TV?" He says, "Yes, sir, Mr. Doby." And Larry Doby finally said, "Look, you got to stop with all this, yes, sir, Mr. Doby." And Mudcat says, "Yes, sir, Mr. Doby." The admiration, the respect that was held for this pioneering baseball player and what he meant to this sport was outstanding.
Larry Doby was Cleveland's top hitter and performed excellently on defense.
In a trailblazing career, Larry Doby is still the forgotten man. As I remind our guest here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, Larry Doby too suffered tremendous indignities as he integrated with Cleveland in 1947. Again, just weeks after Jackie Robinson would break the color barrier.
Jackie Robinson leads off for Brooklyn.
Oh, it was challenging, but Larry Doby endured. And Larry Doby rose above the adversity. But I guess when I stopped to think about it, Larry Doby had been very much prepared to rise above the adversity. After all, that's what the players in the Negro Leagues had done from the start. Larry Doby carried that spirit with him.
This is a great moment. All the struggles that I've gone through and other players of Afro-Americans, this is a reward for all of us.
It's never easy to be the first, but Larry Doby blazed a tremendous path that eventually led him into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. It is still hard to believe that it took until 1998 that Larry Doby would cross the threshold to become one amongst the immortals of this game. But I guess better late than never for this amazing pioneer and this amazing human being.
This is it, what? Lucini pouring from the sky, let's get rich, what? The G keep on sugar dime.